and welcome to the Raw Vegan Guru channel, where we are raising our health consciousness, one thought at a time, one action at a time, and one meal choice at a time. So today I thought I would talk about mind control, mind manipulation, the psychological warfare agendas, and healthy living lifestyles, because the two don't mix. So there is so much to say on the subject of MK Ultra, CNN, um, and all of the tactical aspects of manipulating, controlling, and keeping the human consciousness in a lower state of fear. And when we are in a state of fear, then there is a absolute ability to control. So it's kind of like mixing the ingredients in the bowl to make a cake. You need all of the certain ingredients and what amounts of them. So it's not something that happens overnight, it's something that is done over time. So I was sitting here getting my son meditating, and I was thinking, how can I really discuss the multifaceted level of the MK Ultra mind control operation that's been put here upon humanity as a whole? Not that everybody's fallen into it, but it's on. This has been going on for a very long time, so I want to think about where do we begin when we separated ourselves from the true sources of our organic nutritional foods and our connection to higher source and the earth, which gave us all of our bounty and nutrients and ability to be in our own true purposes and our own connectivity to the earth and our optimal self, without having the blockages, without being manipulated and sidetracked and put off course for the true human experience, which was not to suffer, and it was not to be going to see the doctor all the time. Not too long ago, we were healing ourselves with herbs and nature itself, and helping one another, coming back to the energetic field of our Mother Gaia. And we were not outsourcing to people who were put into a position that was to only further and create misery. So back in the day, you might have had, my grandma's time, it was like somebody maybe was sick and they had the flu, or a really bad case of diarrhea or something, and they would call the doctor and he would make a home visit and he would have this little bag. And a lot of times, natural remedies were the things discussed and shared and utilized to help people come back to their balance, and all was well. They weren't being controlled by that doctor or what was in his bag. They weren't losing, their homes, or putting up a second mortgage, or going into debt and getting credit cards in order to pay these doctors, and then get a whole slew of toxic, poisonous contraptions and liquids and pills and what have you, for the big businesses to make them sicker. So this has all been much more modern, because time is an illusion. And if you look at how long we have been in a state of suffering and control, it's really not been that long. So we still have a chance to come out of it. So where did it begin? Where did it begin? Well, I know that all of the world wars and all of the wars in general and conflicts were created by the same criminal elite organization, group of scumbags that now are doing this whole Chewbacca flu thing, and the Great Reset, etc. So why do I bring that up? Because evildoers, Cobra Commander and Skeletor, they want to rule the world. And that's a major bogus attitude because it's not about ruling the world, it's about coexisting and making the world a better place. But they'll get that memo in some sort of karmic cycle if they're even able to achieve that level, because a lot of them are just very dark demonic forces and extraterrestrial origins. So I think they're just going to have to go through some cycles in denser levels in order to get it one day, if they ever may. But let's get back to what I was saying. So you have these world wars. World War One, for example. They had the mustard gas, and they were creating all of these chemical concoctions. And you have the origins of DuPont and all these, really, again, connection pharmaceutical organizations that were making these mad science elements, which were to basically maim, harm, destroy, and murder the living cell, the human, all plants and animals in its wake also fell to its demise. So they were using that, and they made a lot, and they didn't use it all. And then World War II was a little bit different because they weren't really having as much of that chemical warfare element. So what are they going to do with all these barrels and all these production facilities of these horrific chemicals, which should have never been created, and go against everything in universal cosmic law, and are absolutely very, very dark in every single facet. So what do they do? What do they do? So they started to put it into our foods. They started to sell it as pesticides and herbicides and additives and what have you. We can get into Mr. Cheney, Wyoming man, and he, had his chemical sweeteners, which were proven to be poison and toxic and cancerous. So it was then put it under another label so that it passed through the totally controlled and fakery of jurisdictions, organizations, and groups that are supposed to protect us here in the United States, and other countries have their own sects, but it's all the criminal elite again. So all of these chemicals and these things which were going to only destroy us in the end, and separate us from the real, beautiful, organic earth living connections, were put into our water through the fields. They, were spraying the crops. It got into the water table. It was in the air. Then they're spraying chemicals in the air, and they're doing the chemtrails. They're letting particulate heavy metals into the atmosphere. It's getting into our bodies. The onslaught is endless. But back to the origin. Where did it begin? I think it began there, where it really was being normalized after World War One, with this abundance of toxic, harmful chemicals, where they really just started to bring it into the structure of the human experience, and they sold it as good, and they sold it as helpful, just like they're trying to sell the mask now to basically say, forget the fact that masks are used in satanic control rituals, and that children and other younger people who are sold in the sex trade and forced into lives in underground tunnels that are connected to outer worldly, demonic, dark, very horrific forces, just wear the mask, even though there's no scientific data anywhere. Believe me, I've looked, and I'm sure some of you have, still looking, because it's really about behavior modification. It's about mind control. It's about fear. It's about obedience. And it's about depopulation. It's really all a very, very dark agenda. And this has been going on for thousands of years. If you're looking for, some information, you can start with the Bible because I think they were dealing with the same things. It is demonic, Luciferian, satanic, reptilian, all of these forces of anti life. And they are unable to achieve any ability of love and light. And that is by choice. That is the density that they choose, the 3D, the matrix, and they want to keep us here. They want to control us here. They want to take us out of here. And it is all being done through so many different varying levels. And one of the levels is the chemical world, is the anti organic world. And why this is so important is because the truth is being shared and coming to light more and more than ever because it has to. Oh, hi, buddy. That's a crow. And a couple of them flew by before. So I know they were communicating something. So, anyway, when it comes to what is happening now, more and more people are awakening, more and more people are questioning, more and more people are realizing that everything that's been put upon us, in front of us, has been told to us, has been made as normal, isn't normal. So tricks are for kids. No, they're not. When I was a kid, I thought they were for kids, and I, sought them, and I went after them. And those preservatives and those food colorings, that is toxic waste. How is that any different than the impact of pharmaceuticals and changing the biochemistry, biodome, in our gut, in our entire whole system, altering our cellular structures, creating acidity, which is illness, disease, cancer, and the list goes on. So let me come back to the point that we have a situation now where the truth is being revealed more than ever. And I think it's important to talk about, if you are seeking the health conscious path and you are looking at changing your diet for different reasons, and you want to detoxify and you want to lose weight and you want to be able to ascend to a higher frequency through electromagnetic foods, herbs, and levels of earth sources in order to move forward. You're going to start to realize that the whole design has been implemented and created to keep us down. So, foods, all of the preservatives that are put in processed and packaged foods, it can even be vegan foods, it can even be in the health food store. So, there is a lot of misinformation, there's a lot of manipulation. You really have to be on your toes. So it was just the other day I was reading about how now more than ever it's become more normalized, and that's how this slowly starts to happen, and it becomes just another day in paradise, I guess, for mainstreamers. But people are dying, and it's actually taking longer, several days before the body's even beginning to decompose. It used to happen in the organic process pretty darn quickly. It's the body would begin to bloat and would begin to break down, and all these chemical processes were occurring. Well, they're finding that that's not happening really as much anymore because of all of these preservatives and these compounds, the pharmaceutical compounds in the body, which are basically putting us into a state of, a plastic, little, like a toy soldier used to buy at Toys R Us. So it's not so groovy. We have to come back to our true selves. And our true selves are not eating things from packages. Our true selves are not um, really cooking foods as much as they brainwash us to think that we should, or that we need to. It's not taking in anything that's going to affect our chemistry and our gut flora and our neurotransmitters and our blood and all of our different organ functions. We need to get back to the simplicity of taking in those very, very pure, always organic, um, simple foods. And we need to be able to detoxify ourselves and really connect with our higher selves. And our higher selves is a spiritual and an energetic um, level, and that is much harder to understand or achieve or connect to with all of these blockages and with all of these illnesses and imbalances, and our chakras, being separated from aligning to uh, our true abilities and what we have the power and ability to do while we're here. Our pineal glands, having all that knowledge, that knowing, that information, that ability, all knowing, all seeing, that has been blocked by purposeful chemicals. I'm sure you've heard the fluorides. Now, here's an interesting aspect of fluorides. We think the fluorides are maybe just in the water. Stay away from the water, do the spring water, do the much more natural source water, and that is very true. But you also have to realize that these plastic bottles that the waters are in, they're getting you. They have the resinous oils from the plastics, again, all by design. But the fluorides, that's in a lot of foods too. So even if you get away from the tap water, and the aspects that you think you have a hold on, you're talking tea, coffee, wine, grapes, soda, uh, all these crap foods, the junk foods. These all have traces, and some of them don't even have traces. Some of them have some little spoons going on there if you held it up to swallow it with water and whatnot. It's really a huge ploy by the demonic forces to calcify and to block your connection to your higher self, to your higher source, to your all knowing power. We are beyond, at this point in our evolution, for the most part in humanity. I'm not going to give blanket statements, but as a society, where we are in the human race, we are quite unaware of the potential and the power that we hold. So when you look into the Bible and Yeshua's like, hey, you can walk on water and you can heal people with your hands, and everybody thought, oh my goodness, only he can do that. He must be very special and he must be separated from our condition or our experience. That was the whole point Yeshua was trying to educate us about, was like, yo, you got it too. It's just that you've been broken away from knowing that. You've been distracted. And how has that all occurred? Well, it's all occurred by illusion and deception. Who does that? That's Satan. Who's behind all of the illnesses that man sees himself struggling with in the modern world? I'm not trying to, I'm not a religious person, but it's just that there's so much good versus evil. Yes, the yin and the yang, and you do need darkness in order to see the light. So everything is in harmony, but right now it's off balance and it's not centered because the dark, and the manipulation, the deception, the illusion, and the lies, and the fear state has been over bearing and it's been ruling the human consciousness for way too long. So we need to come back to our true self and our connection to higher source. So, how can we start doing that? Whoa, that's another video. But what we can start recognizing is that the foods we are eating play a major role. So, if you want to, a lot of times I notice in this modern world, people are like, oh, well, give me the specifics. What are the foods? This is kind of very simple. If it doesn't grow organically and not um, impacted by man's ego and dark agenda in some way, if it's coming from the organic process of the ground and it's getting that sun and it's getting non-fluoridated, natural, clean water, then that is the food we should be eating. So when people think, well, what diet should I choose? Should I be the keto? Should I be, uh, you know, to me, all of the diets, again, are an illusion. So should I be a vegetarian? Should I be pescatarian? I think it's kind of silly, all the names, because really what you should be is you should simply be focusing on yourself and your connection to the higher self, the cosmic source, and the ability to exist only in love and light. So if that's where you're going, you're not going to so much be labeling yourself or identifying with a certain type of diet. You're going to be doing what's more natural and guided in your journey here in the human form. And that's going to be picking the berries out of the bush, and that's going to be eating the apple that fell off the tree. This is going to come when we take away all of the layers and the veils. This is going to become much more simplified and understood as, why am I making things harder than they need to be? Why am I questioning everything? We have all of the food we need in true, pure abundance, and we don't need to go to a supermarket to get it. So we can eat those broccoli heads and, pulverize. I like to make the cauliflower rice, and we can even get our water. Let's have some cucumbers, and we can rock all day in a major party with mangoes and pick our wild berries and our herbs. All of our medicines are right here on the planet. So when that becomes more of a natural, easy process for you to comprehend and to seek out, that's when you're going to be having nutrition, and you're going to be having a pure chance at working on yourself more than trying to figure out a label of who, what, when, and where. So these other foods, what are they? Well, you have the meats and the dairies. Those are being totally pumped full of the hormones, and they're being fed the genetically modified grains. So again, that's going to create something that is very harmful. Of course, meats and dairy are very acidic. Those aren't foods for the human species. We are a frugivore. So I think that becomes pretty obvious. Then you have the fishes, and a lot of people try to justify that. But again, it's an animal flesh protein, and you have major contamination of heavy metals. And even I was just reading again on fluoride levels, because of runoff and different things going on in the waterways in the seafoods. So you got that. And then when you go into the supermarket, when you step outside of that produce section, let's say you have the boxed crackers, or you have the canned foods or the cardboard soups or whatever the heck's going on. It's packaged. It's been heated at a level where it's dead and it gives you no nutrition. And it has these preservatives in it and these elements which basically take you away from your center, and it starts to lead you astray, and it doesn't allow you to have the clarity and the knowing that should be coming much more naturally in your grounded fuel levels that can simply be achieved by even not eating and by fasting in periodic ways. So it's like, fast for a week, fast for 2 days, then you come back to the food, sure. Then what foods are you eating? The fruits. I'm always pushing on the fruits because that's the food. And then you come into your raw vegetables. There are exceptions. Yes, we have our, cooked potato. Um, you know, what else is going down? You got some exceptions. Like I always say, go crazy and have some beans and maybe some, rice, because I'm a huge, Middle Eastern food guy, but that's only because of former lives, which I still have to figure out, but it surely was going on in Afghanistan, Iran, and India. That's pretty solid. So yeah, there's exceptions. We don't have to keep to an exact regiment that's going to make you feel limited. It's just about going with the flow. And if you start to look at the foods you're eating and you start to break down the ingredients in them, if they're not just the simple whole raw foods, you're going to go on a trip. Because when you read what these words are, and best of luck pronouncing them, you're going to realize that we've got things going on that are absolutely connected then into the whole pharmaceutical realm. And a lot of these additives, colorings, etc., are made in pharmaceutical labs. So not only are they making these poisons that confuse your system and make your body go into the lower vibration and into the illness state, but you also then have those same type of non uh, leveled vibration. We're talking like anti vibration things, creations going into your foods. So that's some crazy stuff. Grape soda, what the heck's going on there, right? Start questioning these things. This stuff is outrageous. Now, when you start to really focus on yourself and you start to really begin these inner practices and ask these questions and let things go and face who you are and what you've done, and so many different things to say, the shadow work, the yoga, sun gazing, nature, fasting. When all of these things start to happen, it's chipping away at you. It's sometimes hitting you in the head with a sledgehammer, and it's waking you up. So when you start to wake, you're going to start to question. And when you start to question, you're going to say, who am I? What am I? What is this about? What am I doing? What are they doing? What is going on? And when you do that, that's when you're going to start to break it down. And when you start to break it down, you're going to say, the mainstream media is mind control. MK Ultra. What's that about? Learn about the Nazi German regime. Learn about what they did in their medical experiments. Realize that it came right into America after the war when they were, basically given the red carpet in Operation Paperclip. There's so much to realize, but what you're going to start to realize is the truth. And when you start to realize the truth, you're like, oh my goodness, all of the things that I thought was a food isn't a food. Pepsi Cola has baby fetuses in it. Why? Because they want to bring you to that dark place. They want you to be a part of a demonic source. What the heck? McDonald's, what's going on there? Human flesh mixed into their meats? Why? They're insane. So don't worry about that stuff when it comes to an organic, beautiful heirloom tomato. Connect with the higher source. Listen to our Mother Gaia. Stop having distractions that take you away from figuring out and allowing and accepting and learning. So as I move forward more and more, I'm not always seeking something out. It's being revealed because the truth is pretty obvious. My intuition, my gut, is stronger than any dictionary that they try to force down my throat. So when I hear something that's going on in the world today, I don't have to hear much. I can hear a little blip, and I know it's a part of an agenda. I know it's untrue, or I know that it is true. Whatever it is, the truth of it, the purity of where it resonates. So, foods and health. We need to really look at what we're putting into our bodies. I think that is the bottom line. That is what we need to basically come back to. We need to take a little step back, and think about this beautiful, magical, glowing, high-powered vessel. And let's groove with it. Let's be loving and nurturing. And by doing so, we'll be able to help others. So when I talk about a health conscious community and health consciousness, these are the places that I go, and these are the things that we need to start looking at, and we need to start questioning and really letting it come to us naturally. So what's going to make you feel groovy? A gosh darn blueberry, that's for sure. So I hope I didn't go off in too much of a tangent today. There was a lot of things in my mind that I really wanted to get out when it came to the whole, topic of mind control and chemicals and our foods and the disconnection and our natural living state, which is harmonious if we can align with why the heck we are here. Because we're here to love. We're here to assist others, and we're here to raise the light so that others can see and know they are not alone. We are here for each other. So I hope that this video helped you today. And if not, then this was just some fruity guy who's about to go crazy with his, what was that I got going on? Papaya smoothie with a little coconut and chia seed soaked for a day, because those chia seeds, they'll get you if they're not nice and jelly, So please subscribe to my channel. Check me out. I'm also on Rumble. Not all my videos are up there because I couldn't transfer them over, but I'm beginning, my little foundation over there too. And on Instagram, Raw Joshua Consultations. Check me out. Please leave comments. I always enjoy your comments, and everybody's been so supportive, and I really appreciate you being here with me. So seek out your own health, your own harmony and balance and love and light. Keep asking those questions. Listen to everything that you can, and don't make judgments. Let's really be very, very open, and not create any more divide and division, which is being pushed upon us as normal. It's not. I don't care if somebody's a vegan or not a vegan. Welcome to my channel and listening to me. I love you, and I hope you have a blessed, beautiful day. It's all about really helping each other and being there for one another. So Let's raise that vibration and be really groovy. Love you. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye.